strategy for the Roush cars about lap 177. That they're about 10 laps short. They want to pit just to be safe on the early side of that. For the Gibbs cars of Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte, they're going to pit about the same time whenever the other cars come. So 17, 97, 20, all with the same strategy. Pit with about 10 to go. Dave?
And of course, Jeff Gordon wondering, will anybody come down pit road when I want to pit? They said they had to pit in about 10 laps, guys, so the 24 needing fuel as well before this is out.
It's unlikely any of these cars can reach the finish without a splash of fuel.
I don't think any of them can.
I agree with you. But as soon as we say that, somebody will show up.
No.
It'd be tough. 18 to go. Again, those names in yellow and black at the top of your screen are the 10 drivers in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Tony Stewart, who was invisible for about the first 125 laps, now 6th.
Now we've got Harvick, Jeff Burton, Robbie Gordon, all 3 teammates down working the low line. Now, if these guys will just stay in line, they may be able to run them back up the front.
And they've got some help. They got several cars that have gone down and joined them, trying to get that low line going. After all, this is the shortest way around the racetrack.
But when they straggle like that, that's not going to help. They've got to stay in line.
And we talk about the anxieties drivers have here at Talladega. Well, right now, that anxiety transferred to pit road, especially to the gas man, who will have to fuel these cars when they pit. Marty.
Bill, how about the run for Tony Stewart? Remember, he hung out the back for most of the early part of the race. He's had a transmission problem for the entire day, but when it was time to go, he's been able to go. The 20 car moving to the front, Tony being very patient, showing his savvy at restrictor plate racing. Currently, he's got himself in the top 10 with a shot for a win.
See the speed, 193, 194, 195. Did you see 195? No, just 194 top speed. Dave, how about the 6 car?
Just talked to Pat Price and the crew chief. He said, I could go further than some of these guys, but I can't afford to miss a bunch of them coming on pit road for drafting partners. So I said, what lap? He said, whenever they all come.
Yeah. That bottom line is starting to work towards the front.
I think you're right, Wally.
But they just, like I said, they can't straggle. They got to stay tight.
There are some strong cars in that inside lane. Obviously, the 8 and the 15 have been good all day.
Every corner, they move up one spot just about.
There you go.
Then you see to the inside, all 3 of them lined up together.
That's Joey Meyer.
Yep. Sorry, BP.
2 by 2 behind you.
Matt Kenseth in the 17 behind Michael Waltrip.
Now they got that bottom line working.
You've been watching those Childress cars, Wally.
Yeah, like I said, when they got...
Bottom lines are moving. Here they are.
Here they come.
When they got 1, 2, 3.
Inside.
Harvick in the 29. 30 car Jeff Burton. 31 Robbie Gordon. Those guys are teammates. And they're going to stay. Hopefully, if they stay with each other, they're going to go to the front. Then you've got Mark Martin in the 6 and Jeff Gordon in the 24. 2 guys to have, good guys to have behind
Yes, sir. And stout cars.
So there you go. They caught the front, and now they're going by.
Harvick on the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Marty.
The red colors trying to go to the front. Bill, Kurt Busch in the back trying to get his way to the front. When he came here in April, he was second in points, only 5 points out of the lead. Today, he comes in second in points, only 1 point out of the lead. Here in April, he lost 120 points after finishing 36. He remembers that race. He told me this morning some of that decision-making may come into play here late in this race, whether he's aggressive or whether he's conservative.
Harvick led the last lap.
And the 97 was one of those cars in that big wreck.
Right.
Last time. And there you go. The teammates are working well together, and now they got to keep their heads. You know, there's still a lot of laps to go. All those guys in the inside just need to stay there and ride. Don't make it 3 abreast just yet.
And Kevin Harvick has to resist the temptation to move up in front of Junior. Almost got too far out there.
He's pretty far out there right now.
15 pushing the 8. Dave Burns.
Harvick will also need to pit for fuel. Look for him in 2 to 3 laps. He may have to lead the pack they've been talking about, Bill.
Michael Waltrip to the middle. Then
I don't know
Junior
if
closes
Waltrip went to the middle. Earnhardt just went to the top.
In 97, Kurt Busch went by the 17 car, Matt Kenseth, and now Kenseth was falling back to about the 10th position. Remember, he was running 3rd behind Michael Waltrip.
Dale Jarrett now up in that pack behind the 6 of Mark Martin.
This is about the time you see Dale Jarrett work his way back up front.
Former champion, former winner here.
And Junior goes back in front.
But look at those Childress cars bunched back up.
I think the 30 car is having a hard time staying with the 29 car. Robbie Gordon is doing everything he can to bump the back of Jeff Burton up to the 29, but it seems like Burton's having trouble hanging with the 29 with Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick had 4 top 10s in the 4 plate races a year ago.
Tony Stewart, the 20 car on the outside of Matt Kenseth, has some drafting help.
Michael Waltrip hasn't won in a year. He has talked about what's more important here, getting back to victory lane or helping Earnhardt Jr. race for the championship. We're about to find out. He has been a loyal partner throughout the race. 12 to go.
I think the pit stop's going to be real important because Waltrip knows the only way he can pull this off, I think, is to get out in front of Earnhardt Jr. after the pit.
Get with Michael. He said, get to the bottom.
Yep. There they go.
Michael's on the bottom. Michael's on the bottom. Will come this time, right, Tony Jr.? 4 coming this time. Good job there, boys.
That was Steve Mill, the spotter, telling him Michael's behind you. You can make your pit stop. You can't come to the pits.
Okay, these guys are waving like crazy now, telling the cars behind them they're coming in.
You see Stewart and those guys on the outside, they can't come to the pits.
Wave them off here.
It's going to be a mess. You've got to be single file when you get on pit road. If you are not, NASCAR warned the drivers this morning, you could be penalized.
And don't lock up your tires, because if you're only getting fuel, ooh, Martin's not going to make it. We got trouble.
Caution on the track. And Bobby Labonte.
And what happened was Mark Martin was trying to get to pit lane, and he was slowed down in the racetrack, and I think these guys went to avoid him.
Marty.
They're going to get the splash of gas anyway for Kurt Busch. 3 seconds of fuel was all he needed. He's already gone.
What a huge break for these guys, because they had committed to pit road. Matt.
And the 8's on pit road. Steve Meal told them to go to the pit stop. They're going to go ahead and go away from their gas-only stop. They're going to go right side tires for Junior.
And the 15 car beat him out, so it's going to be real interesting to see what happens.
And so did several others.
Yeah, they must be about 15th to 20th now. No, about 10th, I guess, of the cars that made their pit stop.
10 to go, and this will be very interesting when we get this sorted out. Here's what happened.
Okay, watch. All these guys get jammed up, and you see Mark Martin sliding. Actually, it was Robbie Gordon. But all these guys some of them are trying to make pit road, and they couldn't make it. Sterling Marlin turned right to avoid a couple of cars in front of him and turned right in front of Bobby Labonte.
Dave, more on the 40.
The irony, Bill, is that they were on a don't-stop pit strategy, and I believe they could have made it. Sterling topped off late in the going, and they were able to save fuel by running in the back of the pack. They had never planned on having to come down pit road.
That is a tough break.
Well, we knew it was going to get interesting.
And the reason those guys couldn't get their way on the pit road is because they were trapped in that outside lane, and we heard how Michael and Dale Jr. worked early to get to the inside so you could get to pit road, and it did become a mess.
Well, that's right. When you got, as I said, going in turn 3, when those cars were 3 wide, they had to get to the bottom to get down the pit road.
Bobby Labonte climbing out of his car. It has been a frustrating season for that team, and a frustrating day here at Talladega. One more look. You got guys going really fast and guys going really slow.
There's a 6 car. You're right. Mark is the guy that was trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yes.
Bobby Labonte and Sterling Marlin on board with Rusty Wallace.
Hammer down. Keep going. Keep going. We'll come in on 180.
Whoa!
If I make it through this, I'm coming on 180.
Now you see the huge problem that Rusty Wallace and all those Mark Martin, all those other cars have. Now they've got to stop and restart behind all these cars that made their pit stop.
Or can they make it to the finish because of these caution laps and maybe not have to stop?
No.
Somebody will try it.
Well, do we have anybody that topped off really late that's in that bunch? We know Sterling Marlin did, but we don't know of anybody else.
There are a handful of them that did, the 38.
Yeah, but the 38's and 13th. We need somebody that's going to be, although he'll be up front if those guys stop.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Because there are under 10 laps to go, no lucky dog in this situation. Tony Stewart is currently scored as the race leader, followed by Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane, and Scott Wimmer. Brendan Gaughan, Ward Burton, Rusty Wallace, Greg Biffle, and Mark Martin round out the top 10. 179 laps are complete of the scheduled 188. And remember, as opposed to what happened here in the spring race, we can go green, white checkers at the end.
I take it pit road is closed.
Pit road is closed, so the cars will stay out on the track. Tony Stewart scored as the leader. We'll take a break from Talladega.